So for my project, I wanted to get an information extractor from, say, like a big chunk of text and then use regular expressions to be able to sort out the given information. So if I close most of this here, um, I got my inspiration playing D&D and having spent way too long looking through the spells section of the book here. If I can find it. Here we go. So, in D&D, you have, of course, you have the name of the spell, you have the type, and then all this, like, other information. But I wanted to be able to search based on things like level, what kind of spell it is for what characters, the components. I wanted to be able to sort on things that like take one action to cast versus like 20 minutes. The range, yeah, you get it. Um, so that's where I came up with the idea for this information extractor. And I didn't. PDFs are a bit more complicated than text files, so I haven't implemented PDF reading just yet. But if I can find a a way to do it that works, that implements well with the program, then I will be working on that this week. But as of now, I have what I think is a pretty good working idea of what I wanted to do. So we have, that's just raw stuff. So here are the three main files here. So this is just a list of half thought through ideas. Like I have check PDF possibility and then export as whatever. And some of these I did get to, but a few of them I haven't really thought through. So if I were smarter about this, I would have realized that this file is actually kind of useless. Or no, not this file. This file is kind of useless because the only thing it does is it imports all the information and then it it just calls, like, this could all be in the main, and then the only thing main does is call this pseudo main. So yeah, I'll probably fix that in a future commit. But I use Java Swing for the interface, as you may have seen at the midterm, or the update video or whatever that was that we did earlier. But yeah, it just uses swing. Is it swing? It is swing. I can't remember if it's swing or odd. AWT and swing are similar, I think, but it uses swing. So then I use like file chooser, obviously buttons. I have lists upon lists upon arrays upon lists upon everything you could possibly imagine. I'll admit it got a bit confusing towards the middle there, but yeah, let's just run it. I'm rambling. So here is I don't want to say final product, but this is definitely close to the end for sure. The only thing I might do is I might move this J file chooser into its own button. So instead of this big ol' chunk of whatever that you might not even use, it'll just be a little button in the corner that says import file or something. But so here, if I give you a real quick demonstration of how it works, let's say we have first, second, third, if I can spell. And so let's say I want the second to have its own end field. So by default, what it'll do is it'll basically do this. So if you don't specify this separate end field, it will basically see that you want the end of this field to be the start of this field. So doing this and doing this are the exact same thing. And then just do end second. So then if we insert our sample data here, we have first is my name, second is another name, end second, and then this one is third title sequence. So then we hit test fields, and you'll see that first has my name, another name, and title sequence. And we'll get to this part in a little bit. Then if we get rid of this separate end fields, it will actually show that end second thing there. So it sees that it sees this whole line and not just the end phrase. The way it was kind of accident how it works, but the way Java reads this in, it actually gets put into a regular expression parser, or not parser, but it uses string.split. So you can actually put in things like, if you base it off of a new line, or here, let me. So if we were to do things like \n, and we would get all that. So you see it doesn't actually do the first. That's because the first isn't actually after a new line. So it's seeing this right here, this little jump right here, and it's cutting it off there. So that's what it's getting. So then I'm not sure. I haven't actually tested this out too much, but I think if I'm right, you should be able to do things like there's a lot of S's. So we do S, and then I think this should work. No, okay. I don't know how to do regular expressions all that well, but maybe star SS. I don't know. There's a way to do. Maybe if I just do S. Nope. Okay. I don't know how it works, but I'm pretty sure you can use normal regular expressions in this. And see, oh, of course I added I have this clear all fields button. I'll show you. Actually, I should have showed you that after. But so we have an import and export here. This was actually mostly an annoyance due to my debugging of this program. So if we look at cheesecack.txt here, I meant to put a new extension. I was going to see how you can make your own custom extension, or if you really even need that to work right. But right now it's just a text file. It sees, so right here we didn't have all these fields, so it added the fields needed. It set all of the end field itself. Then it set the raw data. It set the raw data text. It set all of the fields, and then this was just set up so that I could press test, and it would show all of the different informations. So then if we have this, okay, now so if we clear all fields here, you'll see it cleared everything. I should have it remove all those. I'll do that later. And then so if we do like import of cheesecack2, this one has a few more fields. I have, so for reference, the final field, since the way I do it is it'll do this by default. You'll notice that when you get to the end, you can't really get the next thing. So by default, it works off of a new line, so it'll only get the line directly after description. So if you have it set so it's like description and then a new line, by default it'll return nothing, maybe a space, or there's nothing there. So so that's why I have it set up right now to do the name. I should have it by default just look at the first one anyway, but yeah, there might be issues with that in the future too. Um, Another issue I've run into, or rather another issue that I haven't worried about per se, is if you don't have all the information, uh, it'll it'll mess all the further along information. So it'll see it'll see Garrett 16, and then it'll see that yesterday is actually Garrett's date, and it'll do that. It'll just ladder down, and then it'll see Frank has no date. So it could use some work there. But if we run this, you'll see all the lines work right. At least they should be working right. If you see something out of place, let me know, and I'll try and figure out what's wrong with it. But I feel like now that we have a good chunk of information, this will be a good time to test out the CSV file exporting. So I just have a thing full of text files. So some random text, nope, CSV file, and then we export it. If we go back to here, we'll see, some random CSV file, and then the new line is not entirely a bug. It is technically in there on purpose. This is in case your field has multiple lines. So if we go back to the program, so if we were to have name Garrett Jingleheimer Schmidt, it would see my name is 3 lines as Garrett, Jingleheimer, and Schmidt. If we were to get rid of that new line, it would see just Garrett, and then it would, I mean, these would just be lost to the void. They'd be gone forever. But, so yeah, I wanted to make this as dynamic as possible. So then we'll see Garrett, Bob, and so it looks kind of funky for a CSV file, but I assure you it does work as a CSV file. So then the way I tested to make sure it works is I've just been going into Excel and trying to import the CSV. And so yeah, it's got all the information, it's got them in the right order, and it's got hopefully all the same names go to the same fields. Looks like it does. But yeah, that was my overall goal for the project, was to, take a bulk sum of information in a pseudo organized manner and then export it into an Excel file to be able to, do some Excel magic with conditional formatting and automatic sums and all that. Ideally, it'd be nice if I could just do it directly, but the only way I could see to do it to a direct file like this was to download some fancy Java program interpreter thing. And I figure as long as I can do, like, if I can create a CSV file and just import it like this, then I'll be happy with that. So yeah, you just import it like that, and then yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. So now, if we get to a little bit of how we did it, I think I'll try not to go over everything if that's possible, but if I can find the field creation, I think that was my overall favorite challenge of this. So here we have remove button. So this one, the way I did this was, I thought it was pretty clever, but maybe it wasn't too special. So what we do is we have an add field button, and I turned this into its own method here because it got really messy. And so everything actually based in this program, the GUI, so everything should be placed based on, I'm pretty sure it's this button. So if I were to move this button to like right here, everything in here would move the exact same amount. And I was pretty proud of that. It does cause issues if you want to, like here I wanted to add this separate end field thing, but I mean it solved about as many as it created. So like the issue was I had to no because if I didn't have it it would have no so okay so no it would have been it was a good idea. I'm just tooting my own horn over here, but so this separate end fields thing was it was kind of an afterthought. Originally, it was just a checkbox in here, and it was an all or nothing deal. And from the moment that I finished working on that, I was like, man, what if you really just want a single end field? You can't really do that with the way this is set up. So I implemented that. All I had to do was I had to set the bounds for this label to be the old bounds of this box, and then added the bounds for this box was based off of this. I just based it off of this. So it was pretty simple. But then so when the button is pressed, it calls this new field, which is right here. And so it adds a new start field. It adds to the start field list, the end field list, the label list, and now the has end field list. And so this checks if this is less than 2. So basically if size is equal to 1 or 0. 0 should be impossible, but if in the off chance. But so this just sets the first field list to it bases off of the add button, X and Y, and then I have button width and height as a constant. And so it just does that for all of these, and then the rest of these are based off of the previous previous field. So it'll get the list, and then it'll get the X of that label, and then it'll get the Y of that label, and this is hard coded. Right now it would technically be button height plus 5 because button height is set to 30. But I also like to add a plus 5 so that there's just a little bit of space in between. So if you'll notice, these aren't just like stacked on top of each other, it's just that little line of space. That's what that plus 5 is. And so then adding labels and certain things in Java Swing get annoying. For instance, right here I have, for whatever reason, it won't show if you don't turn it off and turn it on again. I found this to be true with the buttons or the checkboxes. So what I did is I just basically turn them off and turn them on again. It just makes sure that they are visible. I tried to set it so it was just set visible true for all of these, but like I said, it for whatever reason it just won't work. So this is required for whatever unknown reason. Oh boy, that's way over 10 minutes. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's how it creates a new. It adds the new, the new, the text box. It adds all the text boxes, the labels, and the checkbox, and it adds that to the frame. And then the other thing I should probably go over, it'll be quick, I promise, uh, is this get info. This is the heart of the program, really. Without this, nothing would happen. So it takes in, this is a new array list, so it can return, this part got a little confusing at first, but it makes a little sense after you look at it. So for the start fields, for everything in the start fields, it creates a new array list, and then it splits the raw text by the current start field. So for like at the beginning, this would be name. It would split name, and then I sort of have that hard coded right now so that it will get everything after the first element of split name, and then within that it will split off of the end field for that thing. So then if we were to have shit so if we have options, import cheesecack, let's do cheesecack 2. So this will split, what this does is it cuts the name. This becomes, there's a null as the 0 element in that split right there, and then there's, this is the first element, and then actually if you get down to here, it'll also do this, and this will be the third element, and then so on and so forth, the fourth element. And so this just creates it creates a big list of all the names in the entire data, the raw data. And so then it sees it has this as the first element, but then it splits it off at age, or as the ending element. So then it technically has this as the first and this as the second of that element. So then that's why you'll see here it'll split the, yeah. I'm sorry, I confused myself. He, yeah, if I'm being honest, I'm not entirely sure how this works, but I know it does, and that's what counts. So here we have the configure end fields. Goes through all the start fields. If the start field has a size, or if it has a separate end field, it will set. This is for the last one. It will set the end field to be the next start field. And otherwise, the end field is by default configured to be the end field. So if it has an end field, it's just going to use what's in the end field array already. So yeah. This is just wow. How did I miss that? The very important feature that I went over. So if we import, hold on. Oh shoot. If we import cheesecack 2, then we'll see we have all this information, but we don't need that information. It's garbo. It's stupid. It's an idiot thing. And so now we have cac2 raw data.txt, and this will do the same thing as what I just deleted, but it reads it from the file instead of from the text box. So clicking this and clicking open is the same as like going into so if we do this, 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 and this, it's the exact same thing. It's just easier. So yeah, my plans, if I have any time between the last of the assignments I have to do this week, I would love to implement a PDF information reader, and um, I would love to be able to handle missing data. Like I explained earlier, it doesn't handle, say, if you're missing an age here. I would love to be able to handle that, but the way it's set up, I'm not entirely sure if I'll be able to do that, because as I was showing earlier, it basically just gets the beginning of each of these and then puts them all in one big array. It doesn't do it for each individual line. And I think if I wanted to implement what I want to, if I wanted to do that, I think I would have to rewrite it so that it goes line by line, checking for each individual regular expression here. And I don't think I have time to restart the project at this point in time. So I never did show the export. I apologize for that. It just takes all this information that exists and it puts it in like this is similar to this cheesecake file. It just creates these files. I suppose for anyone interested, I'll click on into it right now. So here we have the has separate end field boolean. Here is the start field. Here's the has end field boolean true, and so instead of just having the start field, it also has the end field here. This indicates that it's done with all of the fields, and then it basically just copy pastes this into the test box data, so into here. So with that, I will show you the last button. That's all it does. Sorry this went on way longer than I expected. I know I rambled a lot. Bye.